An Inner View with Ryan Gallagher.
Beautiful.
Oh, praise the Lord.
Am I allowed to vape and stuff as well?
Oh, yeah, go for it.
You sure?
Go for it. Yeah.
Sweet.
Vape away.
Nice.
I think they're okay. I think I can hear you. I did one podcast where I didn't do I have to do a thing where it's registering through that. If not, then it doesn't actually register. So
yeah,
I got this like really odd, weird
yeah,
footsteps in the air. It's dreadful. But we're good.
Okay.
That is good. Jassem, thank you very much, mate.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on
No, thank you.
and agreeing to have a chat.
Thank you for having me on. I'm honoured.
Yeah, wicked, man. It's good to have a little kind of old friend collab, a little Hampstead School collab.
It's been a long time. What, since year 7?
I think it's year 7, yeah, right.
7. How old were you at year 7?
I'd say 11, 12, was it, or something?
11, 12 years old. That's crazy.
Grew up, same school,
Yeah.
same years.
Yeah.
Rugby team.
Yeah, rugby team. Good times.
They were good days, huh?
Good times. We did get battered quite a lot.
We got battered. We got.
Yeah.
We did.
But
when you consider what we had to train with and what we had
the facilities weren't that great. But do you know who I miss? Mr. Ballard.
Ballard is a dude, wasn't he?
He was.
White boys.
It doesn't matter how cold it was. White boys, ready to go, boys. And it was like -3 outside, still in his shorts.
Always in shorts. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I might have taken a bit of that on, really.
Yeah, you have. Yeah. It's a good look. Most importantly, actually, this.
You like the tash, yeah?
I'm liking the tash.
Okay, yeah.
It's
It was a kind of Movember thing that kind of just
Yeah?
stuck. Yeah.
It's a strong look. I
Thank
like
you.
it. It suits you a lot.
Thank you very much. You spent ages like in the mirror trying to get it, but now I just wake up. If it's a bit wonky, then so be it.
Yeah, it's character.
Exactly, it's a character. That's right. Yeah,
man.
I have to wash every now and then, otherwise it starts to smell. But
Get a bit of food in there. It's like, yeah, okay.
for later?
Yeah, exactly. Nice.
So yeah, since Hampstead.
Yep.
What have you been up to? What have you been doing since Hampstead?
Oh wow, that's a lot. There's been a lot that's happened.
Okay.
A lot. So the problem is because I didn't go to uni,
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of time of doing a lot of random things that got me into a lot of random places. So yeah, I've done a lot.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah. A lot of different jobs. Did a bit of traveling.
Where did you go traveling?
Thailand, around Europe, stuff like that, which is good. I miss Thailand.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
What's your favourite part?
The communities and the hostels. Obviously the land and the cliche stuff, like all that stuff. But actually, I think that the most rewarding thing is the relationships that I built up. In fact, actually, what's crazy saying that, just now I got a message while I was in the toilet from a guy that I met in Thailand saying, I miss you, bro.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, wow.
That's really sweet.
Yeah, it's really cool, man. It's like, I think that's what I love about not holidays, backpacking, is the different connections that you make with people and how you can build such a strong bond in such a short amount of time where they almost feel like family. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still in touch with a dude who, yeah, we went to Thailand with and spent like good month or 2 months with. An Icelandic dude. I'm still in touch with him.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And it almost has that family vibe to it. It's just like we're in this together. And usually when you go like backpacking and things like that, and you're meeting other random travelers, you usually gravitate to people who are like-minded and things like that, because everyone's all free and going off doing their own thing. Especially if you have no plans, you end up having like a group that just starts building bigger and bigger and bigger. And people do come in, they're like, oh, this group's not for me, and then they'll go away, and then someone else come be like, this place, these guys are amazing. And it's just it was weird. My last trip to Thailand, did a solo trip, and it was weird. I ended up being in a situation where we're hanging out with these 2 Canadian dudes. They were young, they were like 20, 21. They were so much fun though. They were just so much energy. It was crazy. Jamie from Northern Ireland, and she was same age as me. And then we had Doug, who He was 34 or 5 or something, and he was traveling by himself as well.
It's quite a brave age to be doing that kind of thing. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah. And we had a weird thing where, like, we were always shouting at local Rob and Robbie, the 2 young Canadians, because they were always doing some stupidness, like, behave yourself, stop it. And they kept calling me dad and Jamie mum. So then I started calling Jamie wife, and she started calling me husband. And I used to call them son. They used to call me dad. And then Doug was grandpa because he was the oldest one. So
That's beautiful.
yeah, it was cool, man. Like it confused the hell out of a lot of people. Like, you know, I was backpacking by myself. I was single.
Weird dysfunctional family.
Yeah, it was weird. I was like single then, and I was talking to this girl in a hostel in Koh-Lanta, and
That's beautiful, Koh-Lanta.
yeah, Koh-Lanta's gorgeous. And yeah, I was sitting there, and I was like, "Wife, can you get me a beer, please?" And then she got up and said, "All right, darling, here you go." Gave me a beer, and then she's like, "Oh, wait a second. I thought we were like talking. Is that your? What's happening here?" And I was like, no, it's not like that. She's my wife, but she's not my wife. And then out of nowhere, Rob comes up, and is like, dad, can we go? She's like, this is really weird, this situation that you guys going on. I was like, from the outside it's weird, but between us it's perfectly normal.
This is normal.
Yeah,
This is normality.
yeah. But you went Koh-Lanta.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
Did you go into the the 4 island tour, and on the boat, and then there's that weird crazy like island, and you swim into a pitch black cave, and then in the middle of the cave it suddenly opens up into this random beach in the middle of this giant island.
No, but that sounds insane.
It's insane. Problem is I can't swim.
Right.
So luckily there was these 2 other people that we became friends with, Hannah and Sophia from California, and they were both lifeguards. So I put on a life. Yeah, exactly. So I put on a life jacket, and I basically just laid there. One of them was grabbing each one of my shoulder straps and just took me through. I felt like a king. It was great. And then yeah, you go into there. It's amazing. It's like a movie. So you have the tour guide at the front, who's just got a little head torch, and then everyone's like holding each other, swimming through, and it's pitch black in this cave, and it's a pretty far swim. It's like, I would say, a 50-meter swim, 50 to 100 meters. So maybe even, no, it was more than that. It was a while. And so you're swimming into this cave, and then yeah, just out of nowhere it opens up into this gorgeous like little miniature beach.
Wow.
And
that's from Koh-Lanta, is it?
yeah, Koh-Lanta, and then just solid like mountain around it almost, and then just a small opening at the top that's shining down light into it. Wow. And yeah, it was an experience I'll never forget. Yeah, it was insane, but it kind of got ruined by the tons of tourists that were in there. So we waited for a little while for them to go away so we could appreciate the beach a little bit more.
That is, I think from what I've kind of heard about Thailand, that is, it's getting progressively worse. Yeah,
well, you have to think that a lot of these islands were completely uninhabited until, you know, travelers went there, were like, oh my god, this place is beautiful, and then they started building up just for Thailand. Look at let's say Koh Phangan, for example. It's basically built up for full moon party and stuff like that, where it's just parties and parties.
Apparently Koh Phi Phi has got a McDonald's on there.
No,
McDonald's and Koh Phi Phi.
Since when? That must be recent.
Quite recent, yeah.
Because I went Koh Phi Phi 2 and a bit years ago.
McDonald's.
No.
Wop, 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 wow.
I find it very sad. When I went there was a lot more Western restaurants opened up, and they were packed.
Right.
And a lot of the bars I used to go to out there had now shut down and turned into like Irish pubs. And I'm like, why would you go all the way to Asia or to Thailand to then get the same home comforts that you have here? It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
But
you can be in Thailand on a beach, right? And you can get a pint of Guinness.
Yeah, basically. And it's
heaven.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm there for that chang or that.
Never mind your pad thai and your chang.
Yeah,
right? You can get a pint of Guinness in a burger.
Yeah, exactly. Sorted. Where is it in Thailand? There's a place in Thailand that we were going to. I think it is in the islands, where the Singer beers and the what was the one with the elephant called? The chang. Okay. They're not regulated.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the alcohol's not regulated, so
it's
like
a changover, isn't it?
Yeah, so you can randomly have one that's like 8%,
Yeah.
So it's like drinking a K cider.
Yeah.
And do you remember K ciders?
I do.
Oh, it's dirty.
I just quite like them.
Yeah, no, do you know what? The thing is, when we were younger, like Hampstead days,
Yeah.
you wanted to get pissed. £4, 4 cans, that's it. You're gone. 4 cans is a lot of K cider. 3 cans, 2 cans, you're good. 3 cans, you're drunk. 4 cans, you're doing well. Like you're doing well. That's £4.
Don't even touch the fifth.
Yeah. Fifth is a mistake. Which I used to think about actually recently on how much we made money last when we were younger.
A long way, no.
A long way.
Really long way.
We were going out, going to the park, all of us, and as you get older, things just.
I feel like we almost taught ourselves money management because school didn't do it.
No, it didn't.
I feel like we almost made ourselves learn how to.
Yeah. Like I did get EMA,
smart.
and that £30 a week, that made that last. The free buses helped a lot, but that lasted. We were going out all the time.
It was dreadful when they stopped, because they've stopped it, haven't they? I think they've.
Have they stopped it?
I think I heard recently.
Oh damn! Yeah, that's the only thing that took me into school.
Yeah. It's not only is it an incentive, it's also for people who genuinely can't afford books or can't afford whatever,
yeah, for sure.
It's a huge draw for people to get to go
100%.
there. So
I can hear the drilling downstairs.
Can you hear it in the headphones?
I don't know. Can't tell.
If I turn them down a bit. We can carry on.
We'll carry on.
We'll carry on, and just hopefully the microphone just keeps that. And if not, we'll start banging ourselves.
Bang it down. Exactly. Like, shut the fuck up.
When you were in Thailand,
yep.
Was your psoriasis flaring then? Was it time when it started, or when did your kind of relationship with psoriasis start?
When I was 19.
And how old are you in Thailand?
I went 2 years ago, so 27.
27. Okay, so it's like a long time ago before.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When did it first flare up? What was the first example of it?
Did you ever meet a guy called George Welsh at parties?
Was he friends with Andy? And
yes.
Fidel?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was at George's house, and we're having a couple of drinks. Itched the back of my ear, and there was like a load of skin that just came out, and I was like, "What the fuck? What is that?" And he looked at it. He was like, "Oh no, it's just dry skin. It's fine." So then it went on. Then it started spreading up my ear, and I was like, "Oh, this is weird." And then it started spreading even more. Went to the GP. GP was like, "No, it's just eczema. It's fine. It's nothing. Skin rash. Here's a little hydrocortisone cream. You should be good." Or some E45. Carried on spreading. And then...
So literally from out of nowhere? It just...
Out of nowhere, yeah.
One day?
No, not out of nowhere. I was going through a pretty traumatic time with my family and my dad, especially with our relationship. Back then it was pretty bad. Still is kind of bad, but like then it was like it was a monumental event happened between me and him. And I don't see myself as an aggressive person. I don't know if I hope I don't come across as like an angry person, and I'll never have.
My nose is still intact. You haven't beat me up yet.
Yeah, exactly. So like I always used to just keep it in. And I think that we spoke about this before about stress and how you need to have a vent for it. And if you don't, it can have some adverse side effects. And it's like almost essentially you have a bucket, and the bucket is your soul, is your body. And then you've got glasses of water, and the water is the stress, and you're filling it, and you're filling it, and you're filling it. Eventually, it will pour over, and the bucket is no longer functioning as it should. But so what you need is a tap in there, so you can just release that, and so you can just handle. So
That's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah, and the problem is, it spilled over for me. And when it spilled over, that's where the psoriasis came out, because usually it's a genetic thing, but no one in my family really has it. So it was quite a strange one. Because of that, mine was very aggressive.
Right.
Very aggressive, I would say.
So do you think it had? You've already said it had links to you and your dad's relationship.
Oh, it
and
was
you bottling
that.
up.
Yeah, it
definitely
was that. It was that. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. It was a correlation. It was like a week later.
Right.
It came up.
It is so important to listen to your body, isn't it? It's so important
100%.
to listen to what's going on.
Yeah, 100%, man. It's mind, body, and soul. You need to have that all together. If you don't, then you can't have just a great body, but your soul is not happy, or things like that. So it needs to be a unison, a bit of everything, balance. But yeah, so then that sort of started spreading. GPs kept giving me the wrong medication, and believe it or not, I went to the sex clinic, the Marlborough Clinic.
I do indeed.
Royal Free, yeah.
It's frequented by a lot of Hampstead people.
Yeah, all of Hampstead. Like, do you know what was so weird? When I used to go there and I used to see people who were like, oh, I'm not going to name any names right now, but it's like, oh, blah, blah, blah. What are you doing here? It's like, are you okay? Who you been with? It's just like, yeah. And so, and for the free condoms. Yeah, and for the free condoms as well. It was great. So, first name basis with the doctors. It was amazing. But yeah, no, so went there, and it got really awkward because I had a weird patch like near my gooch area, and I'm honest about everything. I'll tell you where everything is. And so, they're doing the little checkup thing, and the doctor's like, "What's that?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know." The GP said it's just what's it called, eczema, and they were like, "Give me 1 second. Let me come back." He goes away, comes back, goes, "Can I bring a colleague to come have a look?" I'm like, "Okay." Colleague comes in. There's now 2 people looking at my bits. I'm just sitting there laying down like, yeah, this is great. The second doctor was a female doctor as well, which wasn't great, but I was like, okay, it's fine. The doctor's okay. Next thing you know, by the end, long story short, there's like 3 doctors in the room at this point. 3 extra doctors, so like 5 altogether. All looking, and they all come to the conclusion, it's like, you have psoriasis. I was like, cool. Don't know what that is.
Right.
And they're like, it's a chronic condition, and it's a skin condition. I was like, yeah, I still don't know what that means. And they're like, basically, you have this for life, well maintained, but it can spread, blah, 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 blah. And that was the first time I ever got diagnosed, even though I was seeing the GP for about 2 years.
Wow. And
they kept saying, no, it's just eczema, it's nothing. And then they referred me to other hospitals, and then I got mistreated in other hospitals, got hospitalized a couple of times, almost died at one point.
Serious?
Yeah. So they gave me the wrong medication, and you have these things called adrenal glands, which sit on top of your kidneys. Mine completely shut down. Yeah, which you need them as part of your endocrine system. You need it to live. So mine completely shut down, so I had to go on hormone replacement therapy.
Jesus.
Yeah. Didn't know. I swelled up massively. You can even see here. Can you see all these stretch marks?
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So it looks like lightning bolts going up my arm.
Uh-huh.
That's part of the symptom of it. And I didn't know. I was just swelling up. I was sleeping for like 18 hours a day. It was insane. I was
while you were in hospital, or you were at home?
I was at home, and I was getting really, really tired. I was just falling asleep everywhere. I'll be out with people, and I'll be like, guys, like we'll be walking, and I would have to stop. And I'd be like, I have to sit down and take a nap. I can't control it. I'm about to collapse. Jesus. And I'd have to take a nap, 20 minutes, be up, and I'd have to keep going.
And that was because the medication you were on that wasn't right for you.
Yeah. Right. And then I went to another hospital, and they saw me, and they're like, they done some blood tests. They're like, yo, we need to do a check on you because I'm worried that it could be this. And they checked my adrenal glands. They kept me in hospital a couple of days. Done on the test. They're like, yeah, you could have died from this if it could have gone on any longer. You need your adrenal glands. And they told me that was going to be chronic and that was never going to fix. But luckily, started back up. I'm off the tablets for the hormone replacement thing. Okay. And so that has gone away.
Good.
And now I've gotten a good treatment plan. This, by the way, we're talking like years later. This is like...
What age were you at? When
I started getting good treatment?
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say 24.
So you had like 5 years of...
Oh, shit, man.
Ifs, buts.
Yeah.
Let's try this. Let's not try this.
I think the first time I became bedbound was the hardest time.
What age was that?
I think that was 21, 22.
Bedbound being... What does bedbound mean? As in, what are the...
Covered head to toe.
In psoriasis?
Yeah.
Right, wow, okay.
Head to toe, completely covered. To the point where you can't walk, can't sleep, can't do anything. Yeah, toenails fell off. Psoriasis on your eyelids.
Jeez.
Wake up, eyes are basically sealed shut. It's weird.
Really?
Yeah.
My God.
Bits completely covered. Butthole covered. Do you know what taking a shit is like when you got psoriasis in your butthole? So every time you poo, it splits. Because the only way I can explain how it feels like to have psoriasis is So the feeling of it is like having, you know what a paper cut feels like? Imagine having that all over your body. It's really annoying when it's bad. And the reason why it's so bad is because your skin is like a rubber band, right? It's elastic. It moves. Our skin moves everywhere we go. But have you ever had a really old rubber band that goes really hard, and when you pull it, it breaks?
Yeah.
You have that all over your body because you get huge scabs. So then what happens is, anytime you make a movement, there's no elasticity, so it rips, and it rips down into like the flesh kind of thing. So any movement you make, there's just like tear. So I would wake up in bed and there'd just be blood all over the bed.
So how did you cope or deal with that? What was the method of, I don't know, do you have to lubricate it somehow? Do you have to, does cream calm it down?
You live in moisturizer. I lived in the only time where I had some sort of peace was when I was in when I would take a bath.
Right.
Yeah, sit in the bath, just float there in the bath, and I'd fall asleep in the bath. And loads of coconut oil in the bath and bath salts and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, couldn't exercise, couldn't do anything like that because your sweat contains salt. So then it's like pouring lemon juice on an open wound.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it wasn't great.
Goodness.
My last bed bound stint was, I think it was last year. Yeah, it was last year. 6 months. And
6 months of the period of time where you're...
when I was bed bound, yeah.
Right.
And that one was a bit easier to deal with because I'd already experienced it, so I kind of knew what was coming. But yeah, that was pretty bad though. That was actually really bad. Really bad. Couldn't wear any clothes, couldn't do anything. And yeah.
What advice would you give to someone who is potentially going into that state of being bedbound? How do you mentally prepare for that? How do you
accept it?
Just accept it, yeah?
Accept it.
Okay.
There's the only thing, the advice I give to people, like, is because I have a YouTube channel where I talk about psoriasis and stuff like that. The advice I give to people is don't fight it. Don't try and cure it. Accept it. The quicker you can accept it and get over the fact that this is my life now, this is how it's going to be for the rest of my life, the happier you'll be. Because you stop worrying.
Yeah, right.
And then you're like, okay, cool. Now I'm going to adjust and work around it so that it doesn't define you. And so you're like, my life isn't psoriasis. My life is how I want it to be. It's just I've lived my life and I've got psoriasis, as opposed to my life is this.
Literally, Jassem Ahmed equals psoriasis. It's not that, is it?
No.
Yeah.
It's Jassem Ahmed is Jassem Ahmed. Oh, but he also has psoriasis.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so
that's a good mental state to be in, I think. To help yourself.
Yeah, embrace it. Like I think that one of the most requested videos, which I haven't made yet because it's a hard topic to talk about, is relationships and sex and love and psoriasis, because we live in this digital jungle where now, like, meeting someone is a swipe of a finger based on looks. That's all it is. It's based on looks.
How deep?
How deep? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
how real?
When you're trying to get people to look at like how beautiful you are on the inside because the exterior is a bit whatever, how can you do that when it's a swipe of the finger?
I mean, are you even after that person anyway? If they're just looking at the exterior?
I mean, if you know what I mean. But if you go on Tinder, then you kind of,
Yeah.
Tinder, Hinge, Bumble, the list goes on. Everyone's on them because no one has time to go out and do the traditional, old school parents' way of meeting up with someone. Yeah, it's tough because what I did was I just fully embraced it. Found pictures of myself that was quite good, covered up quite well. So it's just my face. And whenever I did match with anyone, I would send them the pictures of me at my worst. When our first conversation, I'm like, hey, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. So tell me about yourself. They say, oh, I have psoriasis, just letting you know. Okay, cool. It gets quite bad. And so here's what I look like. So I will send pictures of myself in my boxers. So it's not exactly the dick pics that a lot of people traditionally get on Tinder and stuff like that. This
skin pics.
Yeah, exactly. This is psoriasis pics. And so look at my flakes, baby. Yeah. So, yeah, I'll send them the pictures, and it either goes in one or two ways. They see the pictures and delete me without even saying anything, or they say, oh my God, that's really bad. Are you okay? For example, with Serena, my missus, when we first met, we didn't meet on any app. We met salsa dancing. I didn't actually take anything further for a while. We were just talking on WhatsApp for ages after we had met. And then I laid everything out to her. I said, look, this is what I look like at my worst, blah, 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 letting you know. Especially when we had been seeing each other for a little bit and we were going to take it into a relationship. I said, okay, do you understand that there will be points in my life where I will become bedbound and I will have to rely on you? And you have a choice now to walk away. Because
I like that upfront, open, honest.
Yeah. Because I'd rather we split apart now while there isn't as much attachment than a couple of years later you can't handle it. Because I'm being serious, it's shit. Like I'm bedbound for 6 months. Financially, I cannot work. I cannot do anything. And I'm basically a giant baby. I can't cook, can't do anything.
I feel like I know it's I don't mind sound quite weird, but I feel like going into a relationship, if you kind of lay out the foundations of, look, this is me at my worst, this is how it gets to my worst day, then I feel like that's a good thing for someone to judge if they can have that as, you know, their worst day as well. You know what I mean?
Oh, 100%. I think
rather than this like, oh, I'm good, I'm really great, I'm 100% together.
Man,
you're not.
When we
you
first
need to know how.
Yeah, exactly. When we first got together, my psoriasis started flaring up. I had lost a job, so I had no money. My health was pretty shit. Everything wasn't really going well, which I think is the best time to meet someone. Because then it's like you have nothing but each other, right? You haven't got any material objects, you haven't got any money, you haven't got this. Like our first date was it's not a first date, but like even for our anniversary was that's KFC. Yeah. Just because we're like, we don't want to spend the money because we're so used to like not having money. And we started our relationship with the bar real low. Like real low. There was no fancy restaurants. There were no
better.
Exactly. So
and that's the thing. There will undoubtedly be those times where things are undeniably crap and awful.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's how you're deal with those times and how you're in those times.
Exactly.
Is how,
and if
things can get lost, you know.
Yeah, if you go through the shit times first, you know you're gonna survive. Because when things get better, you're like, oh my god, we can enjoy each other's time. This is great. When I'm dealing with all this other crap. And if you can still stay happy with each other during the shit turbulent times, everything's kind of works out. But I don't know. I think a lot of people find it like it's very sad when I see people that come to me and who's like, there's a guy, won't name his name. He messaged me and he was like 40 something years old. He's never been with a woman, never done anything. He was asking me for tips because he's too ashamed to show himself. I made a video on this once. I called it Trapped in My Skin. And it's people literally being trapped in their own skin. They have this life because it doesn't affect you mentally, really. It doesn't affect your personality. Well, it does, inadvertently, but like you are not a different person. It's just you can't do certain things because of literally the skin you're in, which is a weird thing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Change your mind.
What are the questions you often get asked from people? What are the most common kind of, or what are the ones where you've been asked something where you've been like, oh God, actually, I'm not sure. Or ones you've had to like think, really like contemplate and think about. And
kids. The kids one. I think that was a big one. The fact that when the doctors told me, which I only found out recently, my children will have a 50% chance of being born with psoriasis. 50% chance. That's quite a fair number.
A coin toss. That's
it's literally a coin toss, yeah. And I made the decision. And you know, I love kids. I used to be a manny. I used to do all that kind of stuff. I used to look after kids. I taught like art lessons and like a little nursery creche thing. Like I love children. I always wanted children. So that was a big thing for me. Because I know what the feeling is like. I know what the pain is like. But I'm an adult, so I can deal with it. I can express my emotion. I can tell people this is how I'm feeling. This is how I'm not feeling. A child can't. A baby can't. It's just and the children can't have the medications that I have because it's too toxic for a child. So I made the decision. No, I'm not gonna have children. I can't subject a child to that. And everyone's like, oh, you're selfish, but who knows? Anything can happen. I was like, yes, anything can happen. You can have a child and the child can be born with whatever it is. but you don't know. It's when you're given the statistic, when you're given the probability, it's a 50% chance I am making that decision. And so when people who fight against me say, oh, why would you do that? I'll say, okay, fine, cool. Let's say look at every single one of your worldly possessions, all the money in your bank account right now, and your car and everything. I want you to flip a coin with me. Heads, I get everything that you have. Tails, you lose it. Would you do that bet?
Would you take the risk? Yeah.
And they're like, fuck no. I'm like, wow. So you aren't willing to risk your material objects, which you can buy again. You can earn it again. But you're willing to risk the happiness, the eternal happiness of a human being.
Human life, yeah, right.
Yeah. For your own selfish desire to have a child. That's your choice. The child isn't asking to be born. The child doesn't exist. You are bringing the child into this world because of a selfish reason, because you want a child.
Well, that's the and I think where people deem you as selfish for having that view, I actually think it's the opposite. I think it's the complete opposite. You're actually being a really analytical, compassionate, understanding human being, realizing that actually you might subject a child unbeknowingly to this.
But it's also because of
condition.
how we've been brought up in this world. I think that has the camera gone off?
You teach them about this ISO thing.
So ISO is just
light.
It's automatic. It's like artificial light that it puts into it,
Okay.
so it brightens up the space. Problem is though, put too much ISO and it becomes super grainy,
Right.
which you can use as like a nice artistic flair to it, like an old French movie with a nice film grain in the background.
Where were we? We were talking about. Yeah, we were saying that it was actually, although people say it's selfish of you, it's actually a really unselfish thing, because it's a very, compassionate, analytical. You've actually fully understood that it was, that you may, put this thing on a child.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbeknowingly.
Yeah, 100%. But again, because people just desire the child, it's like, I don't care what happens, I'm having a child. They don't actually think about the consequences of having a child. Like, I refuse to have a child unless I owned a house. I refuse to have a child unless I had a solid foundation. Why? Because I don't want to have to constantly keep moving. I don't want to be renting a place and have the child there, and something happens, landlord says, oh, the flat's got to go, you got to go here, you got to go there, and it's unfair to the child. I want the child to have the same sort of childhood that we had.
Yeah.
We had, if you think about it, we've known each other since we were 11, 12. Can't get that if you're always moving around.
Right.
This conversation would never have happened.
Exactly.
And I want that because I loved my childhood. Childhood was great.
I feel like people don't really take into consideration what it is to have a kid and the
of course.
responsibility, the like circumstances that it.
Financially, it's insane.
Yeah, right.
Like we the thing is, I hate to talk about money, but we live in a capitalist society. Financially,
it is our society.
Yeah, exactly. It's financially, children are a big thing.
Yeah.
And you have to, if you want to have a child and you're not that financially secure, you have to sacrifice a lot of things. Am I willing to make those sacrifices right now? No. Why?
You were talking before that you're saying you've got a lot of things still to do in the world.
Yeah, I think that one of the benefits of suddenly deciding that we're no longer going to have kids, or we might adopt. We want to adopt, but now we have a weight has been lifted off our shoulders. Because you think about yourself, what does society tell you have to be a successful adult? You need to have a mortgage, you need to have a good job, stable job, you need to have a family, you need to have kids. If you've got those things, you're doing well. But let's think about that. Break it down. You need to have a mortgage. You need to be in debt of about £500,000. Yeah. Like in London, you're looking at about £500,000 for
probably more,
or probably more, yeah. Which none of us can afford. So yeah, anyway, and then my cat's gonna walk on.
Could be a cat on a keyboard situation.
Yeah, no.
Could be a cat on a keyboard.
Let's move out the way. CP. Okay.
And go that way.
There we go. Be in £500,000 debt. Have a stable job. be in a job that you're in for ages, day in, day out, which is boring.
Then coronavirus comes.
Then coronavirus comes, life destroyed. And you know, it's. I feel like we've all been lied to in terms of what is a successful adult, and everyone's conforming to this one idea, which is quite an old school idea. Where you don't need that to be successful. Like I can meet someone who, you know, you can have two people in a room. One person could have a multi-million-pound business, multi-billion, forget it, but they work 7 days a week. Yes, they've got the flash cars. Yes, they've got the great house and all this kind of stuff. They might go on a holiday here and there, luxury holiday, but they're working 7 days a week to get this business going, which is sometimes what you need to do. And then I could have someone sitting right next to them who hasn't got any of that. It's got a standard job, they work, but they've traveled the world. They're like, I've swam with dolphins, I've built a school in Africa, I've, you know, helped baby turtles get back into the sea and things like that, and travel the world. And it's like, oh, I've climbed this glacier, I've done this. I'll be like, I want to chat to you.
Yeah, right.
Like, you have got life experience, which is just, it's priceless. Well, no, it costs a lot of money to go traveling, but it's, well, the memories are priceless.
Depends how you do it. I mean,
exactly.
You can do a shoestring, or
you
can go lavish. You
know. The memories are priceless, and I'll be like, you have lived such a colourful life, colourful life, full of adventure. Nothing's the same, but instead of this monotonous like rat race that we're doing, wake up, same thing, wake up, go to work, come home, wake up, go to work, come home, as opposed to like being free and doing whatever the fuck you like is amazing, which is why the only reason why we're striving to earn money is not for the traditional sense of buying nice stuff. It's so that we have time to do things that we want to do. Money for me gives me time and freedom to be able to go traveling, to be able to, you know, do this other stuff. Like we're so frugal with our money to the point where we decide that we don't want to buy candles. We're going to make our own just because it's cheaper.
Great. And it's an experience of
it's
making it too, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
If you have the time to do it, which just in my personal opinion is the most valuable commodity on this earth. Like, it's the most prized.
Time, of course. 100%. It's precious, and unfortunately it gets shorter and shorter as you go on. It's because you're
got to make the most of it when you have the chance.
Yeah, and also because of it's also the general feeling of how long a year lasts. Because, you know, if you're, you know, when you're younger, the summer holidays felt like they lasted forever. Yeah. And now 4 months has just gone by with the lockdown. Feels like that. It's like nothing. It's because as you get older, that time frame gets shorter and shorter. So if between 1 and 2 years old, you've lived in 1 year 50% of your entire life. So that will feel like a fucking eternity. But then as you get older, it's like it's a 5th, it's a 10th, it's a 20th. It's just shorter and shorter each year in terms of actual feeling of time. So, yeah, time is of the essence at the moment.
Absolutely. It's a good thing you said as well that you can adopt. I think it's a good. Why adoption? Why has that taken your imagination? What are the reasons for that?
The world's already overpopulated. There's a lot of kids that don't have a home. It would be silly of us to try and do the whole like IVF, or try to, like, if we couldn't have a baby and we try to, like, you know, go to a geneticist and do all this kind of stuff to see what they can do. Medicine's crazy nowadays. I don't know what they'll be able to do. Forget that. Adopt. There are kids that need a home. Even newborns that you can adopt a newborn. For people who have a child, they're like, I don't want to keep it. Okay, cool. We want a baby. We'll take the baby.
Yeah, I feel like it's you know, if you feel like you've got that loving home to give.
Yeah,
then I mean, you know,
people have kids selfishly.
Yeah,
man, I've seen people have kids that should not be having children, and I don't know why they have kids. Like, and it's like they don't care. I feel like they just see it as a thing.
Status symbol.
Yeah,
it's a thing you're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Without thought.
It was weird because I was working in Doncaster recently, and I was living with someone who was she was young, man. She was like 20, and she was in a pretty crappy relationship with someone, and she was drinking and smoking and all this kind of stuff. Then she got pregnant, and she was still drinking and smoking and taking coke and things like that. And I'm like, why are you why are you having a baby for?
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know, because it's a baby, innit? I'm like, but do you really want a baby? Do you understand what goes into having a baby? Or how much of, like, all this stuff you have to stop? Like, I've still got a pack of cigarettes in the other room, even though I stopped smoking. I vape now. Because I took them off. I was like, while I live here, you can't smoke. Like, it's not right. It's wrong. And yeah, I don't know. It's just, I feel like having a child is a luxury in today's day and age. If you're able to financially support a child while still have the freedoms of living your life and being happy, that is a luxury. You have to have a pretty, stable life.
It almost kind of seems you have to like sacrifice one for the other. I think, or you have to, give parts of.
Oh yeah. You want to see the world, travel the world? Can't do that.
Yeah.
Not if you've got a baby. I mean, you can live that nomadic lifestyle still with the children, but then you're sacrificing the fact of having stable friendships for the child.
Yeah.
And what do you value more? Yes, the child will become more social because they'll meet tons of people from around the world, all different cultures. It'll be great. But where's the stable relationships in their life?
Interesting.
They wouldn't have that. And I think that those bonds are so important.
Yeah.
Like my bond with my little clique, Abdul and Eric, Tendai, Joe, those guys, Josh, all from Hamster School. I wouldn't trade them for the world.
Yeah.
I've been best friends with them since we were year 7. Still to this day, we chat to each other every single day.
Yeah.
They're closer than I am to my own family.
Yeah.
So, and I couldn't imagine a life without them.
Yeah, right.
If you know what I mean.
I watched a film recently called Captain Fantastic. Have you watched that film?
I've heard about that.
So very, very, very good film. And it's basically about this guy, and he has a family that grew up an alternative lifestyle in the woods, and they do that thing. And something happens where they need to go back into mainstream society, if you like. Yeah. And their transition's really hard and interesting. And I can remember at the start watching it thinking, my God, that would be great, having a family in the woods. And, brilliant. But then this mindset also kind of took over. This like, yeah, okay, they've done that. But then they haven't really had the exposure to, groups of people, different walks of life. They haven't made those. They've got a family connection, but they haven't made those lasting connections.
No, for sure.
So
it's important.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely speaking.
But yeah, that was a long tangent of the most tough question I got asked of about psoriasis.
Yeah, good.
But yeah, no, children. It's a tough one.
Tell us about the Human Library.
Okay. So the Human Library is a charity organization run by a company called Nova. And it's basically, as it sounds, it's a human library. So you think about it, when you go to a library, you have the librarian there, and you have all the books on the shelves. But in this instance, what you have is a load of tables set out, and a load of people sat at the tables with like a little ribbon on them that says, I'm a book. And then the librarian has a list of all the books that are there. So they'll have you choose the title they want. So mine is like Living with Psoriasis. Then you'll have someone that will be like, I'm a Satanist, or someone that's I'm a neo-Nazi, or someone that's I'm transgender, or lots and lots of different topics from all walks of life. You walk up to the librarian and be like, I'd like to take out this book, please. She'll walk you over, sit you down with the book. She reads like this little list off, being like, please take care of your book. You can't take the book home, blah, 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 blah. Don't damage the books and things like that. And you sit down on the table with this person and you just chat for 15 to 20 minutes.
It sounds like you can be guaranteed you won't fall asleep in this library.
Yeah, basically. And it's really interesting because you can learn a lot. Like I was talking to Ben, the Satanist who was there, and man, I learned so much about Satanism. It's cool as fuck.
I like it. Before, I only read, I think they're like 10 opening, whatever it is, and it doesn't sound dread. Like as I said before, I was imagining like, you know, hell, high water, bats, sacrificing.
No, not even. He told me that a lot of that stuff they use just to troll the media.
Oh, right.
Yeah. He's hilarious. Like, a lot of the stuff we just do just to take the piss out of people. I was like, oh, jokes. Okay. But yeah, no, it's a great, I think it's great. And then the neo-Nazi, that was the interesting one.
Really?
Yeah. And then the the transgender one was interesting because she was so open to be, this is the nice thing about the human library. You can ask people anything. Like, I asked her, what is it like having a wank? Because you've gone from having a penis to now a vagina.
Yeah.
And, you know, she elaborated, yeah, it's amazing. It's like, it's the best thing about it. Like, the sex is just completely different. And you can ask weird, intimate questions like that, which you'd normally be like, "Oh, am I allowed to ask?" It's like, that's like my inside voice that thinks that I'm not allowed to.
I love the sound, the openness. That to me
Yeah,
sounds amazing.
exactly. Like, people have asked me when they sat down, they're like, "Yo, man, do you mind if I ask you a personal question?" I'm like, "Yeah." "Did you get in a dick?" I'm like, "Yeah, it covers my whole body, bro." They're like, "Oh no," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's shit. It's bad."
I like that
It's
though.
bad.
It's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good, the openness of it.
Yeah, man. I think that people are always a bit too afraid to ask questions nowadays. We live in a very PC world right now.
Yeah, very.
Like, a bit. I don't really like how PC is becoming. Everyone's afraid to say anything now. I'm like, why are you people so scared to say anything now? It's like, oh, you're offending me for this. Oh, you're offending me for that. It's like,
You can't say it because I'm offended.
yeah, it's like, relax,
on.
man. Watch some South Park. Like, come watch. Yeah. You want to be offended? Watch some South Park. That's what I love about South Park. No one can touch that. Have you seen, like, because at the moment with the Black Lives Matter movement, which is a great movement, I do support it, but like, I think that there are some aspects of it where, like, the fact that they're cancelling all the TV shows. Yes, granted, a lot of them were a bit, but the thing is though, they take the piss out of everyone.
That's
Like no one can touch South Park, in my opinion, because they literally rip on everyone. That no one could be like, "Oh, you're not allowed with me." It's like, yes, we can, because we rip on everyone, and because they rip on everyone, it's weird because they're so racist to everyone. They're not racist. Does that make sense? It's like non-discriminately going to take the piss out of everyone.
Right.
So no one's safe.
Right.
Which I think is brilliant, and I would never want that to stop. It's great. Take the piss out of me. Jokes.
Yeah, I think a world without satire and a world without,
Yeah, man.
you know,
That'd be so sad.
very boring.
Yeah.
Very.
What would happen to Frankie Boyle
Exactly. You're right.
or Jimmy Carr?
Anybody who can go on BBC and talk about the Queen's vagina and
Yeah.
so, I mean, it's just fantastic. I mean, he got sacked for it, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the fact he can do it.
Exactly.
Great. Yeah.
But I don't know, man. But yeah, I like it when people ask me intimate questions because I know they're thinking it.
Right.
And I'd rather they be upfront with me and just say, "Hey, I'm thinking this.
Yeah.
Can you tell me?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, cool, go for it." Fair enough. A lot of people do get embarrassed and they're like, "Oh yeah, you shouldn't be asking that kind of question." But if you got it, tell people.
If you're thinking it.
Just be like, "Yeah."
Yeah. Again, it almost kind of zips back to what we were saying at the start about the whole repressing of things. You know, if these questions in you are genuine and they're ones you want to know,
Yeah.
rather than push them down. If you're in a space, in a place where you're amongst someone and you can do that, then ask, or just ask anyway. Ask in general. But fair enough with like sometimes you've got to choose the people who you ask them to, but
Yeah.
don't be afraid to ask. That's
Yeah,
what I think.
of course. Don't be afraid to ask. And it doesn't even have to be about like, I mean, just asking in general. It doesn't have to be about certain particular topics. Actually, I did a YouTube video on this. It's on my "This is a Butterfly" wing video, where I would look. We used to look into you know when you go to the Natural History Museum and there's that place where you can see all like the officials like looking at all the different sample pieces in the vaults and things like that. I sent them an email and I was like, "Hey, my missus is doing a piece on butterflies. Am I allowed to have a look at your archive?" And they're like, "Yeah, sure, come."
Great.
I was like,
You
"What?"
asked the question, eh?
Yeah, and they're like, "Yeah." Went in there and then they brought out all the pieces. I was able to do this crazy macro photography on them, and it was insane. And I was like, "This is mad! I didn't know I could do this." They're like, "You just have to ask."
Just ask.
I'm like, "Wow, okay, cool. Just ask."
Ask and you shall receive.
Yeah, asking you shall receive. And look, what's the worst that could happen? If you're thinking like, is it cheeky to ask this? Just ask. It will either go in two ways, either yes or no. If it's a no, nothing's changed in your life. If it's a yes, then great. It's a positive.
Yeah, right.
That's it. Nothing's changed. You won't know until you ask. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd like to finish on or say about psoriasis or about anything in general? Because if not, that was perfect.
Yeah. About psoriasis. The misconceptions of psoriasis.
Okay.
It's not a skin disease. It does affect the skin, but it's actually an immune disease. And yeah, it affects multiple different types of bodies. So if you do see someone with lots of patches and all that kind of stuff, just realize that it's not. Don't always stare. Get to know. And if you are staring, ask them, what is that? Instead of just sitting there and pointing and staring, ask them. Yeah. Exactly. Just be like, excuse me, I'm really curious. What is that? I'm like, oh, I've got psoriasis. Oh, psoriasis. I know someone that's got psoriasis. Ask them. Don't just stare, because when you stare,
then you almost humanize, humanize the thing, the person, because they are obviously human, but it's not like they're just a thing with this autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
It's like no, they're still a human, still a person.
Exactly. Just ask me. And one thing that it's a pet peeve of mine, but I feel like such a dick saying it. It's when someone has a condition. If I've got psoriasis, the amount of times that people message me, be like, "Oh man, I know the cure for this. Yo, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Yo, you need to go vegan for this. Or yo, you need to do this. Oh yeah, shit, you're not. Someone told me I should piss on myself. I'm not joking. Someone told me that pee is the cure. Pee on yourself and it'll be fine. Or breast milk. I'm like, yeah, because I'm gonna get breast milk from of course, yeah. That makes sense. Just read the comments on my videos. You'll see this everywhere.
Okay.
Yeah. Just assume that we've looked at everything. I live with it 7 days a week. You've just heard of it. You've done a quick YouTube or a quick Google. And you're like, yo, have you tried this? Yes. Yo, have you tried this? Yes, I have. No, but really, 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 you should try this. Okay. I'm living with it. I know.
Yeah.
I've been living with it for a while. So.
If I may say so, though, you've got an amazing outlook with it. And because it sounds like you're living with it, and rather than against it and trying to fight it, it seems like you've embraced the thing.
Psoriasis has in a way saved my life.
Really?
Yeah.
How?
Because it changed my outlook on life.
Wow.
Massively. Because it forced me to be one with my emotions and control it.
Wow.
Because psoriasis and stress go hand in hand. If you stress out, the psoriasis gets worse. If the psoriasis gets worse, you stress out even more, so it's a vicious cycle. So you have to learn to control your emotions and learn to roll with your emotions and learn to be positive and not get stressed out. You stop getting stressed out at life, at normal things in life, because when you're going through a bad flare-up and you're bedbound, the only thing you want to do in life is basically wear a t-shirt or get more than 2 hours sleep a night, if you can get that. So the little things in life, like putting on a t-shirt or just getting a full night's sleep or being able to go out and walk is oh my God, this is amazing. And then, so everything else in life, you're just people are stressing out, oh, do I have any money? It's I don't care, I can put a t-shirt on. Everyone's like, oh no, this has happened. It's I don't care, I slept today.
My bloody third nail's cracked.
Yeah.
I can't go down the pub for a beer.
Oh, I lost my job. It's oh great, I got out of bed.
Yeah, right, well.
Kind of thing. So you stop giving a shit about a lot of things. You start looking at life, you're like, wait a second, I don't care about this stuff anymore. Well, I do, but it doesn't bother me anymore. It could be worse. It could be so much worse. And I've learned to just become happy now. It's just happy all the time. Well, not happy all the time. Obviously, I get sad and depressed, and psoriasis gets to me sometimes. But
it's being in tune and in touch with those emotions, with those and just allowing them to fully.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people hide their emotions, especially because of this digital age where you need to have this pristine life on Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat, and you're showing off this false persona of yourself. Whereas me, I go on Instagram, I'll show myself all fucked up and stuff. I'll be like, I'm unemployed at the moment. Yeah, I've got no money. Yeah. Why? Because it's me. I don't care. I'm embracing. I don't care what people think about me.
Right.
Dress how I dress. Talk how I talk. And just whatever. Don't like it? Cool. I've got friends already. I don't care. That's the thing. So it's it's eye-opening. I'm glad it's happened. Glad it's happened. I kind of wish it could go away forever.
Okay.
But I like that I've still got some scars on my body.
Yeah.
Like I've got scars dotted all on my body because it makes me remember where I've come from.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't know where you're going unless you know where you've come from, kind of thing.
You don't know where you're going. Okay. We can sign off there, can't we?
Yeah.
I think the sun's on my side today. I got a lease of life, I feel okay. Need to call around, get them all out, jump in the car and get on our way. Cause there's love and the strength in numbers. They can try, but they're never gonna run us down. Speakers loud, it's like we're on a come up. Fifth gear, but they're never gonna race us down. I'm alive on a high, blue skies, there's nothing better. Hands up, we're on a ride, hold tight, we're laughing together. Ooh, we light it up and ooh, we can't be stopped and oh, can't hear us coming. Oh, we take off and keep it running. We take off and keep it running. Oh. Take a stop at the riverside, crack 'em open, pass around the light. Breathe it in and out, bring our guards down. Yeah, this is ours for the day and the night. Cause there's love and the strength in numbers. They can try, but they're never gonna run us down. Speakers loud, it's like we're on a come up. Fifth gear, but they're never gonna race us down.